Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. We have such a great show for you tonight. In this special segment that we are going to explore the journey of being able to understand travel and being able to enjoy the journey of writing. So I want you guys to please sit back and understand the calling to write the stories that stir the soul and the impact of using one's voice to uplift, heal, and transform lives is what we're going to have for you today. So I want you to sit back because, first of all, we're getting ready to learn a little bit about some traveling. And that's traveling whether it is in the air, on the sea, or however. We're going to be right back. This is Yanaya E. at Mercy C. We'll be right back.
Father, forgive us. Can you have mercy? Please have mercy on us. Please have mercy on us. We repent of our sins, won't do it again. Deliver us from this evil, chosen people. Please have mercy on us. Please have mercy on us. We repent of our sin, won't do it again. Deliver us from this evil, chosen people. Yeah, please, yeah. Forgive us, fight for us, forgive us, your chosen people.
Hello and welcome back again. I am Yanaya E. here at Mercy C, and we're getting ready to talk to someone that is very special to me. I have been knowing this young lady for a very, very long time, and ever since I've known her, she has been traveling. I don't even know if there's a place she hasn't been. But I tell you what, we're going to find that out because we're going to bring her in. And this is one of my closest friends, over maybe 30-something years. This is Sister Deborah Smith in the house. Welcome, sweetie pie. How are you? I believe you are muted. So
I am.
There you are.
You have to stay muted because you never know what's going on in the world behind you.
Well.
I am so honored to be in the company of such wonderful spirits and joy. And I just love, like you say, I love traveling. So I could travel. You know, sometimes I had to laugh because I know I've missed some very important options, appointments, or events because of my travel. But I believe, and I know for a fact, and if anybody can come and give me some other insight, let me know. But I believe travel is the most important educational platform around. You can educate from anywhere in the world. And now with the wide world web, well, I travel every day. So, and now it's affordable, right? So, and you can apply the method of travel to anything. Give me a topic and I can apply travel to it. And I just want to say that I am Again, so honored. And if you don't know, I am Deborah. We move around with Deborah, and we are here every third Saturday of the month, right here on the Female Solution Global Broadcast Show, 12 noon Central Standard Time. But now, depending on where you are in the world, we can certainly come to you and give you some valuable information about travel. You know, I like to offer interactive engagement through our many platforms. You know, social media it just runs the gamut now. And it allows us to reach millions of folks. And millions of folks are traveling. And I know that if you're not traveling, it's not because you don't want to. It's because of other situations that are hindering you from doing that at the time. But like I say, I travel every day by way of the wide world web. So if you're not ready to physically travel now, you can always dream and plan. You know, we planned on how to come to this audience today. There's always a plan. So being able to travel efficiently, you have to plan, and opportunities come about all of the time. Just looking at the television or looking at the news or triggering a thought or having that bucket list. I believe that this month is designated bucket list month. Who knew there was always a thing? But our mission with Gateway Travel, not Gateway Travel, that's one of the travel agencies that I work with. I am a travel advisor, and I advise clients on when to, where to, why to, and how to travel the world. And I am also working on the universe. Yes, you know, back in the day,
the universe, huh?
yes, the universe. You know, folks didn't even recognize that there was airplane travel. You know, they didn't know that there was, you could get up in the sky like the birds and fly. But now look at us. That's about the only way we want to travel.
So you know you're going to have to get a little more detail with that one with me, right? Because so we can have some clarity on that. First of all, tell us, Deborah, how long have you been traveling?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm an Army brat. So I guess I've been traveling all of my life.
So that's one of the reasons why you probably enjoyed traveling, because you were move around Deborah, right?
That's right.
So you have been moving around for a very long time.
Yes.
So what really, because most times individuals who have traveled, right, and they had to move around a lot, they would lose interest. So what made you want to be so interested in keeping that momentum going?
Well, losing interest, I guess you would imagine that you would lose interest in a lot of things that you do in life. You just have to keep recreating the excitement. You may lose interest in going to bed every night the same way. How many different ways can you lay down? But you flip over to the other side and you try a new way, or you turn the mattress around, or you turn your bedroom around. You just have to recreate in your process, in your life process, how to do other things and expose yourself and especially your children. Yes. When you expose the youth to travel, it can change the trajectory of their life. Yes. And I mean that so heartedly. I mean, just taking the urban children, the city children, and taking them to a farm and having them spend a day or a weekend or a week or a month on the farm, it will change their mindset to identify something other than what is in their 4-block area. You know, in their 4-block areas, their home, their school, And well, it used to be the corner store. We don't have many corner stores anymore. But you would bring some insight to the life, even if you are older, if you worked all your life and now you finally retired. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit around? No, you're going to explore the world. You have to. And this is why I come and bring awareness to what is going on in the world, how to travel. It's more than just packing that picnic box. You know, we used to pack the fried chicken and the boiled egg and the loaf of bread and whatnot and get in the car. It's more to it than that. It's more than just seeing on television, oh, I want to go to that beach because we're in living in the climate that we live in. It's cold a lot of times of the year. So you're looking to go somewhere else where it's more comfortable. And you see that on television, or you see that in the newspaper or online, and you have the desire to visit there. But it's more to it than just picking up the phone, calling the airline, and booking your travel. You
So
have
let me
to
ask you
know.
something. Let
I'm
me
sorry,
ask
go
you
ahead.
this, Deborah. I'm sorry. But let me ask you this. As you know, most individuals think that it's very expensive to travel. So sometimes people don't feel as though they can afford. So what would be some of the things that you would share with people, you know, as far as their planning or being able to go on trips that they think that they could not afford?
Planning ahead of time, having that bucket. You know, I always refer to the commercial where the gentleman takes his spare change out of his pocket every night and puts it in a jar. You can do that. You know, after you tithe and you give into yourself and you put your other little change in a bucket list, you round up. You know, when you go to the store, have you noticed that when you go to the store, a lot of times now, since they are not giving out change because money is changing,
Yeah.
you round up. They say, do you want to round up your change? Well, why don't you round up and put it in your pocket? When you have an extra $10, $20 throughout the year and have the entire family involved in it. And then at the end of the year or right before you're going on your journey, you take that bucket and you count up that change and you see how much you have. But planning and organizing is the key. Planning and organizing is the key, and having a travel advisor, because when you have a travel advisor, those are the travel professionals. They know when to, where to, and how to. You talk to them and you network and give them your information of what your desires are, and then they change that and they turn that into a dream come true. It can be done. It's not easy, but what is easy? You know, it's not easy. Although if you fall into a windfall of money, 9 times out of 10, if somebody gets a big amount, allotted amount of money for however they got it, and you ask them what do they want to do, or you ask someone, if you had extra money, what would you do? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say travel. And are you prepared? Do you have your list made up? Do you know how much it's going to be to travel to Fiji? And Fiji is a little expensive, but maybe you can go to the Caribbean and get this same effect. And your travel advisor would know how to differentiate the two locations, Fiji, and I say Fiji because that's one of my bucket lists. and they'll put that together for you, and they'll help you. And you just plan ahead.
Got you.
Hello?
So if nothing else, as you all have heard, that you are a travel advisor. And I remember when we went on our first cruise, You made everything so smooth. It was, I mean, you had everything on. You was on it. You made sure everything was done. And I'm glad that I don't have to just say that because you're my friend. I'm saying it because it's real. And
It
we
happened.
really had a nice time. We went on the cruise. So, if you don't mind, just again, let individuals know if they do want a travel advisor, how to contact you, and also in regards to your show, if you can share that again, and how people can contact you.
Well, you can contact me at Deborah, that's DEBORAH dot the female solution at gmail.com. Just drop me a line and I will certainly reach out to you and answer any question that I can for you. And again, the third Saturday of each month at 12 noon Central Standard Time, I am here on the Female Solution Global Broadcast. And you talk about cruising. We're going to talk about cruising and the family. Last Saturday, not this past Saturday, but my last third Saturday, we spoke about family reunions and the importance of. Don't wait till you have to put that homegoing ceremony together to have that family reunion. So we want to talk about family reunions and family reunions as we cruise. It's what we're going to speak on our next in May. So join us, be here. And I hope to see you all again. Deborah dot the female solution at gmail.com. And I move around with Deborah every third Saturday, 12 noon Central Standard Time. No matter where you are in the world, just calculate that time to Central Standard Time.
Yes. And so I do want to tell you guys, if you've never cruised, you want to cruise. I enjoy myself. And if you're like me and you enjoy food, you definitely want to cruise, because you can eat all day long.
It is so economical.
So, yes, it is.
You have your housing, your meals, your entertainment. You're just hanging out. It is just so much that you can apply cruising to. And a lot of people say, oh, it's so much water. It is. Yeah. It's a lot of water. I'm not going to tell no story. But you like to fly and you don't have wings. Right. You drive and you don't have rubber on your feet. So
it's drive, right? But I tell you what, we have to make sure, and maybe we can have you back just to talk about some things and some more experiences. But look, you guys can definitely find her every third Saturday. Was that at 12? Was that at 12?
Yes, 12 noon Central Standard Time. Every third Saturday. All right. Okay.
Every third Saturday.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored to be able to be here.
I thank you so very much.
And you all have
a blessed day. It was a pleasure having you, sis. Well, we're going to be getting ready to. All right. Back. We have another guest on here, and this young lady, I just was so inspired. I actually met her at a book fair, and when I tell you the energy that this young lady has, and it was just, I love it, right? I love it. So I don't even want to wait any longer. I want to bring her on, Miss Faith Jackson in the house. Welcome, sweetheart. I tell you, I am so grateful to have you. So honored to have you on the show today. And I really want to talk about you and the many books that you have written. So
Yeah.
I really truly want to share with Minnie what inspired you to write the books that you have written, and how did that journey begin for you?
Absolutely. So I became an official author August of 2025, starting off with my book Anointed Scroll. I was in school for mental health counseling. Things did not work out. I think I had a 6 month period of where I was really just trying to fight and I was trying to push and I just really wanted school to work out, and I ended up getting suspended from school during that fight. When I got suspended from my program, I ended up having the time to actually sit down and write the book, because for 2 to 3 years I was already doing poetry at my church. People kept asking me, when are you gonna write a book, when are you gonna write a book? And I was all in my head about it, like, if I write a book, who's gonna buy for me, right? So it was fear. But at that point in time, I just simply didn't even have time to write a book. So when I got suspended from school, I had time to actually get focused and put into play a lot of the poems and pieces that I did. So Anointed Scroll is essentially a collection of all the different pieces that I wrote over time. The signature piece for Anointed Scroll is compression. People are always trying to compress me, but I've got a suitcase. Sorry if I have to get on your case, but you cannot brush me around your mouth and spit me out like toothpaste. Very literally, within that book, with me just becoming an author in general, very literally, I kicked over fear and stepped straight into faith. So that is the story behind Anointed Scroll. And shortly after that, Diadem of Glory came into play.
So when you actually did that particular book, what you said that came into play, what happened?
So first and foremost, I sold over 300 copies of Anointed Scroll by hand. By now, it's probably 500, because I'm always in front of people, talking to people. I was everywhere I went. My book was with me. I was at comedy shows selling books. I would even be at, like I say, a regular place, and I have my books. I might be doing my poetry and I sell a book. Everybody I knew I had a book. So it was great. And then Diadem of Glory kind of came about, not only because I had faith and knew that I could do that, but then I could take it a step further. So when I went to write Diadem of Glory, it was all about embracing the royalty that I had through Christ Jesus. So I was very intentional about that. And then I was able to talk about a lot of the warfare that I experienced while writing Anointed Scroll. So Anointed Scroll is even, so Diadem of Glory is even known for, like, even my dark secret moments, right? Because Anointed Scroll, I just talked about, like, the joy and all the different pieces, but I didn't talk about what I had to go through to even write the book. So some very signature pieces. It's definitely blessed, favored, established, and prosperous. I had to say that to break through out of all of the different things that I was dealing with and all the hell I had experienced on a day-to-day basis, even when everything felt completely wrong. That's the first piece. And the second piece is this. Faith is my oxygen. I really went into detail with the warfare that I went through while being in school and writing the book. So I went straight into the fact that I had many different sleepless nights. I went through the attacks. So one attack that I mentioned very vividly, when I'm sleeping and I'm calling on Jesus, and my mouth won't open, faith is my oxygen. So I had one day that I was like, literally, and this was after I wrote Anointed Scroll. This was right after the book signing. I'm laying down on my couch, and I know it felt so real, but I knew it was a dream because I was in my living room, and my living room went from white to dark, and it was like something black behind me, and I was just trying to call on Jesus, or Jesus, oh Jesus, and it wasn't happening. And then eventually I was able to open up my mouth, call on Jesus, and then I woke up. And so those are some very, like, specific things, and, like, even the period of time that I had, even like while going through all of the warfare, even where I would go through feelings of anxiety, depression, etc. It was really deep, intense, and in Diadem of Glory, I give it my all. I give people my everything of everything that I went through. In my piece, Heaven is one of my very popular pieces. Like, I can't wait to make it to heaven to see my heavenly Father, his woolly hair and skin made of bronze. I even also talk about more warfare that happened. This happened right after Anointed Scroll, which was the vomiting in a bag. I'm not shy at all. So that was very abnormal, and I knew it was warfare, and I had to even pray, fight, and push my way through that. So those are some key pieces. Diadem of Glory is embracing my royalty and me standing up and speaking out on spiritual warfare.
Wow. You know what? Just from that, you kind of just like answered like three of my next few questions, because and what was so impactful for that is what many people become afraid of, or they feel shamed about, and that's being able to say, hey, this is what it's like in the light, and this is what it was like in the darkness for me. So it's that being real, that being inspirational. So what I would my question to you, and you kind of answered it, but I want to kind of go a little more in depth.
Yeah.
When it came down to your writing, right? And you were saying this is why you went from this point to this point. What was the central message of your book? Or should I say, since we're talking about those books, what was those main pieces, the main thing that you would want to be able to share with people in regards to your transitioning up?
Absolutely. So the central message of Anointed Scroll was believe in yourself and keep God first. The central message of Diadem of Glory was really fight through the pain. There is a rainbow at the end. God is going to work it. He's going to take all those different imperfections and essentially give you beauty for ashes, like he said, right? So without going through any of those experiences, I wouldn't even be able to write about it. So that's one of the things that I think about. And even as I think about this year, some of the warfare I went through, I even be putting that in a book. So being able to be okay and be transparent and know that your warfare can get somebody else through.
Wow. And we can't be afraid of that, right? We can't be afraid that things are going. Now, let me ask you this. Would you say that made you stronger, more aware, and when it came down, as you started thinking about others, you believing that it could be your books can be impactful for them to understand that it's okay. This you can have the sunshine, but then here comes the storm, and everything is still okay. Would you say that was something that people can get from reading?
Absolutely. That is absolutely something that they can get from reading. And I feel like I put it in a way that is still spirit fed with love, but then you also think like I mentioned, like heaven and even faith is my oxygen. I have people ask me, did you really experience that? Yes, I did. That's why it's in the book. I really did. So yeah.
I'm gonna ask you to repeat that, because I don't know if it was just me, but that latter part I think was a little technical issue. What was that last part you said? Would you say that again for me?
So basically I'm saying absolutely yes. People ask me all the time, those who like are really reading and listening, especially specifically about Diadem of Glory, had I actually really experienced that? And I always tell them yes. So they do get the idea of breakthrough can, be their portion, because I went through it. And I went through it and got past, so can they.
Yes. And have you ever had the opportunity of individuals being able to come back to you and tell you or share with you in regards to their experiences after reading your books?
I have. I want to say I've had a lot of people ask me, specifically with Diadem of Glory, it's not the warfare as much as it is cancer can't hold you back. I have a lot of cancer survivors that really buy that book or
Mm.
have family members. So I never give specifics, but quite a few women in my family have suffered from it. And I really just believe God that, he really used me to like put that on display and bring comfort to people. So a lot of people will have read it and been like, I felt like, man, you were really talking to me. As it relates to Anoint to Scroll, Deliver Me is always the piece that a lot of people talk about and ask me questions about, and talk about how Deliver Me really affected their lives. And a lot of people are also shocked to hear that at some point in time that I was suicidal. So they're like, man, you have this line in there. Was that true? Absolutely. I've been through a lot. But it's good to hear that it's healed them. Even in Anointed Scroll, Overcoming by Goliath. Someone was telling me, man, when you wrote Overcoming by Goliath, I really felt like you were talking to me. And in my books is things that they can relate. In Anointed Scroll, I also have a piece that's called The Flex is Alexis. And that's my sister. My sister's name is Alexis. And one person said like she was really touched because it made her think about her sister. So it's things like that.
You know what? Having the opportunity of being a writer myself, I understand where you're coming from. And many individuals hopefully will be able to get something from here by saying, hey, let me take my experiences, put it in a book, to help other individuals,
Yeah.
to overcome obstacles and challenges. I want to ask another question, and then I want to ask, I want to be able to ask you about I believe it was an award or something that you actually had received. But let me ask you this: was there a chapter or a part of the book that was especially challenging, or perhaps healing to write while you were healing? Because I know you went from those moments, but what hit you like the most?
Oh, my piece haven't hit me the most. And the reason why I haven't, like literally, I've had to admit, so I perform Heaven a lot. It's one of my favorite pieces to perform because I have comedy, I have the beauty of God and being in blackness, and then I also have spiritual warfare. So there's a lot of different things that I've literally had to take out of heaven. So I talk about vomiting in the bag, having to repent for sins that I didn't commit, right? So like all different kind of things, right? Because these spiritual attacks, they don't belong to me. They did come from me because I live a life that's upright and pleasing to the Lord, right? But sometimes we have ancestors and people in our family who have done things that are not in alignment with God. So some of the attacks, so it becomes an open door for the enemy to get in. So I talk about like legit going through the process of repenting for people in my family. And that's very deep. Like that's a very deep thing to kind of encounter and deal with.
Because that's something that we should be doing. So we have a piece and where you had received this award. Tell me a little bit about this. Oh, that was an award. I do want to.
Yeah,
Was that
absolutely.
an award?
It was.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Yes, and that just happened. I want to say, I think it was last month. Yeah, last month, in March, towards the end of March. So I went down to see Stephanie Conforti. I met her at the Black History Awards show that I did, celebrated Black achievers who did great things in the community. I kept in touch with her after the fact, and she had invited me down to come down and see her and speak and introduce myself to everyone, and I absolutely did. I also called Michael Crawford, who I met before at the Black Wall Street event, who was supposed to be called me and had me speak at one of his events, and I reminded him of that. I'm still waiting on his phone call, but It was great to be there, speak with them, and kind of get my name out there a little bit more and get that award just for, being someone who's doing great things inside the community.
Great. You know what? So outside in the community, so outside of writing, what are some of the other things that you actually do in the community?
Okay, so I volunteer at the food pantry very regularly. Most Saturdays now. It was every Saturday, but my schedule is busy and pretty packed. Anything that I can do within the church to help out the church. The Black History Awards show, in general, was one, and sometimes I'll do open mics or I'll do like little things within the community. Even my book signings. I don't know if you got a chance to watch my book signing live that I just had. I went live for a while. It was quite a few people who watched and told me, like, one of the ladies at my church said, "Oh, you had it live." I was able to watch it. She was supposed to be there in person, but she was really tired. Even at my book signings, it's like this whole wonderful thing. So yes, I talk about my book, the pieces around the book, but then I also invite other artists to come and share their work and create space. So singers, other poets, comedians, to do something, they get that additional exposure. Get a chance to share their voice in a positive, Christ-like way, regardless of how they normally do things. Whenever I do events, it's definitely mandatory that the content must be clean.
Wow, that is great. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to have some other questions, and we're going to share some other things, and also about how you can get the books and read them for yourself. So sit back, relax, don't go nowhere, and if you do, make it quick so you can come back and hear some more. I am Yanaya E here at Mercy Seat. We'll be right back.
Great day. It's your girl Asada here to introduce a new female solution show called Asada Says. That's right. Every month we're going to talk about everything I am, from cryptocurrency and financial security to good health and parenting strategies. Come on and talk with me every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And let's do that thing the way Asada says it should be done. See you then. Peace, right here on the Female Solution.
Welcome back. Thank you all. If you all are just joining us, we have our very own author, Faith Jackson, in the house, and she is sharing with us. All right. And we have a question here. I love how Faith is writing bestsellers, though living her life, while living her life, or through living her life. All right, I'm going to get it together. I'm going to see it. The blessings. Thank you for that, Deborah. And it is. I see you oftentimes, and as I told you beforehand, I love your energy. I really love how you share, and it was something that you said in regards to even the point of being suicidal. Is that what you said? I want to make sure that I heard that part.
You did. Uh-huh.
Yes. So me being a person who has been on that side of the road, I understand that and relate. But to be able to see that you have survived and you're at a whole nother place in your life, what would be something impactful that you could share with someone else, especially someone who may have that desire or those thoughts? What could you tell them?
You never know what God has on the other side of the road. Like, put it like this. First and foremost, the word says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but I deliver them from it all. So when you think about storms are not finite. It is not a forever thing. It is a temporary thing for you to learn and grow from and keep it moving. That is literally the whole purpose of a storm is for you to gain and be able to keep it pushing. So with that being said, always understand that God has a purpose for every single thing that you go through, even if you don't understand it. So sometimes when I see things, I'm like, man, God just don't feel like me. It could be somebody else need to be able to hear a word from you, right? So you need to go through it so you can help somebody else. So always kind of thinking about that and keeping that in mind. And a lot of people who have huge purposes go through a lot of stuff. There are so many people that talk about, especially in the church, how the devil tried to kill them before they were even born. I wonder why. Because the oil that they have on their lives. You know? So a lot of times it's like, think about it as God wants to do something. I have to be able to push through it.
Yes. Yes. Naima said, thank you for sharing your story of triumph over adversity. Let me tell you something. It's so amazing that we're having this conversation about the storm. I was talking to someone earlier today, and we were talking about the storm. And think about this. Even in that time when the Messiah was in the boat and the disciples, and the storm was raging, and they were panicking, and it was like, oh, what are we going to do? What are you doing? Get up. You want us to die? Blah, blah, blah. But he was still, he was calm, he was resting. That's how we need to be in our storms. We learn how to rest in our storms, because guess what? He showed us how we can have the authority and the power to say, peace, be still.
Absolutely.
We have to believe in that, have to do, because if nothing else, you're coming. I'm in regards to, and that here says a whole lot. So let me ask you something. If you had the opportunity, and I like that, too lit for Christ.
Yeah.
I need to know what made you and inspired you to write that.
So first and foremost, I had about 2 different reasons that I wrote this book. First and foremost, I wrote it to give back to my church family, Chatham Avalon Church of Christ. You know, they showed up and showed out when I wrote Anointed Scroll. Some people bought 3 books for me. It was absolutely amazing. So I'm like, I can do something for the teenagers, because we don't have small kids in my church. We have teenagers. And I wanted to do something anyway. So I really kept it focused based off of school. Thinking about school, I've never been cool. I always dressed. I like to match different colors. So I was considered I guess a high school elder, if you will.
I like that.
So I centered a lot of things around school, like don't do drugs, like, you know, like A+ and things like that, because I wanted kids, especially the teenagers and college students at my church, to know it's okay to be lame. It is literally okay to be lame. It does not feel good to be lame. It feels awkward. It feels off-putting. But a lot of the lamest people invent the most impactful stuff. So that's something that, you know, has to be kept in mind. And to be honest, I didn't understand it growing up. And even still, I'm still like, you know, okay, cool, what have you. And I just kind of, for me now, I just kind of create my own lane. So I don't worry about trying to fit in. Like, I'm a poet. Most of the people that I network that do media are comedians. I don't too much try to fool with the poets. I want to be around people that want to be around, because they get to be acting funny acting. I don't got time for that. I'm not engaging in energy that does not belong to me. But like, you know, when parents say, okay, it's okay to be lame, it feels terrible then. But once you realize, okay, there's purpose in being lame, somebody needs to hear about how lame you are so they can be okay with being lame too.
Okay. And so as that's what pretty much is implemented in too lit for Christ.
Yeah, Too Lit for Christ is about being you, not worried about your grades, not doing drugs. It's about not fitting in with the crowd. You know, it's tied to your identity for Christ. So that's why it says Too Lit for Christ. Everything is Christ-centered.
And you know what? That is the reason why, even as the word tells us, you know, to be set apart and to be different, you know, and don't be as the world is. So we do need to be as you say, different, right? I think that they say nerdy or call it nerdy, but I call it or I look at it as individuals who are allowing themselves to not have to be a part of everything. I'm just different.
I really love
kind of different.
whimsical. Like whimsical is like just this very beautiful, bright, bubbly, comfortable, very love within your soul and your spirit, who you are. So I like the term whimsical, but most people just understand the term lame, so that's why I use the term. But I would consider myself whimsical.
Well, you have blessed and prosperous prayer journal. Tell us a little bit about that.
So this journal was made during my prayer time. I spent time with God a lot. I love praise and worship, but I really, really, really love prayer. I think prayer is very important. I think prayer is the gateway. Not think.
Yes.
I mean, I'm using the word think. I know that prayer is the gateway to heaven and things being unlocked. So those are like things that I prayed and even speak into existence and put it into my atmosphere. Like I even have them there. Like I'll be at inaugurations. I can't wait to be at an inauguration. It's in my book, so I'll be at an inauguration in no time, type of thing. But it was made during my prayer time, and I always think about it. Like we journal, we spend time with God all the time, but with journaling is a good way to see God answer your prayers in real time. So it's no coincidence that I ended up on the radio this year or ended up in podcasts, and I need to have a couple more radio stations calling me. It's no coincidence because I already believed and put that into my atmosphere and said that 2026 XYZZZ was going to happen, right? It's no coincidence. So not only that I have it written down, but I also have it in faith, and I'm able to look at my prayer journal and see God answer prayers in real time. And I want the same thing for everybody else who reads my book.
All right. So, and in the midst of that, what would you say in regards to what moved you on this one here? Have faith in yourself.
That one is
not. You're talking about that, right? So
that one is not mine, but that is very, very beautiful.
That's not yours?
No, it's not. Our last one that you guys don't have.
So that's the one. I knew it was the coloring.
Poetic coloring book about our history. The reason why it's called Colored Outside the Chains is because we've been through much as an African American people. So as we remember our history, we break free as we color. So I start off with my favorite piece in this book, Affirmations, Alpha and Omega, Black Church, Black Panthers, Coretta Scott King, Dynamite, Eagles, Fearless Soul, Frederick Douglass, Good Times, Grandmothers, Harlem Renaissance, Martin, Madam C.J. Walker, Maya Angelou, Mother's Love, and more. I really like this idyllic concept. The hardest part about this book was writing about the history and making sure that it rhymes. So I was going back time and time again. My favorite person to write about really was Coretta Scott King, because I didn't know she wrote as many books as I have in here. I liked finding out more information about how Frederick Douglass escaped slavery, Good Times, all of those different pieces. I'm going to do a little bit for my piece Affirmations, since I pretty much do that all the time. I am the embodiment of God's greatest creation, black like coffee, dark roast, too addictive to have just one day a week. Every morning you have to keep coming back for more. So yeah.
Yes. Well, look, we're gonna take another quick break, but then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about this experience that you have. So we'll be back, and when we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit more about that before we get in just a couple more questions. But stay tuned. This is Mercy.
When you see Black children misbehaving in public, being loud, disrespectful, and destructive, do you think to yourself, what they need is a good beating? That's what's wrong with these parents. They don't know how to discipline their children. Were you disciplined in that way? And did your parents also call you stupid, ignorant, and lazy? That's the way you break a slave. You terrorize them with constant fear of painful punishment. You teach them they're powerless to speak up, and you insult them so they feel like nothing. We were broken by parents who were broken by parents who were broken. It's time to end the cycle of brokenness and bring healing to ourselves and our communities by using knowledge, respect, and love. We'll show you how. I'm Naima Latif. Get the book Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma. On sale now. Go to www.naimalatif.com.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is Mercy Seat, and we're talking to our author, Faith Jackson, who also has an event coming up, Author Experience. Tell us a little bit about this.
Absolutely. So the author experience is absolutely phenomenal. I have about 5 different authors, and including myself, it's 6 of us that are coming together to talk about our books, share our stories, and interact and engage with people. It's a lot. It'd be similar to my book signing, but more in depth. So I will talk and do some poetry pieces and have other artists come out and get people engaged as well. But I will also have every single author be interviewed and ask questions about their books. What's their reason for writing? What made them want to write? And really key in on the authors. One thing that's really amazing about this author experience is the fact that it's not a whole lot of authors. So you could really get to know them, which sets me apart from anybody that's doing a book fair, right? Because you can really get to know them because I'm asking them those tough questions. You're getting to sit, you're getting to hear them, you're getting to actually know their personality, and they don't have to compete with a million different people to be seen or sell out or to get their books known. You can really understand their personality. You can network with them and have them as part of your circle. And this is our community, so we have to support the people within our community. And honestly, I'm grateful to God that this is not as many authors or not as huge. I want it to be huge as an event in terms of people coming in, but I feel like the people who sign up to participate in the event with me are people who are supposed to be there for sure.
Definite. Now that was May 30th. And
that's
what was
May
the time?
30th.
May 30th, which is a Saturday. What is the time?
From 12 to 4 p.m.
From 12 to 4 p.m. So if you're able to go out and share, definitely, you'll be able to find you on Facebook
Yes.
as Faith Jackson, correct?
Yes, Facebook as Faith Jackson, TikTok and Instagram as Anointed Poet, ANOINTED POET, no space. YouTube, Anointed Poet Faith. And that's pretty much it.
And so you'll be able to find her. And let me tell you, all you got to do is find that young lady, that very energetic. You will not be able to miss her. I'm telling you, I just love it. I love the energy that you bring forth, and I'm very happy to see your development and your increasing and having several books. Young lady with several books on the table, say, hey, that's a beautiful thing. So, what would you say to someone who feels called to write, but is afraid to begin, or maybe not even know how to begin? What would you say to someone?
That's a good one. I would say just do it. Like Nike, literally just do it. Just write. Just see where it goes. It may look like it's not going anywhere today, but tomorrow it'll go somewhere. And now you have technology. You have technology that can help you organize your thoughts. If you don't know where to go, which way to go, talk to people, read some of your stuff out loud, right? I wrote over a dozen books. When I wrote Anointed Scroll and I Ain't Never Gloria, I was reading some of my poems out loud. I was like, okay, what you think? Let me get your feedback. And they were like, oh, girl, we love it. Like, girl, you got it, right? But just get that feedback from people. You can even work on a team with people, maybe, like, or work with other authors. The hard part about it is a lot of times you don't get support until you're actually doing the thing. You're already doing the work. But if you have someone that will support or read or help edit, like, or give somebody a free book, and they might go through it, with you, give you some feedback, help you figure out how to organize it.
Yes, yes. So what has been the most rewarding part of becoming an author for you?
Seeing other people become an author too. Before I became an author, besides pastors, I only knew one other person who wrote a book. And even as I was talking to her for help with writing a book, I didn't really get much help with writing that book. I really didn't. Like, she told me I could use Amazon KDP, but she really did not fully walk me through the process. I had to pray and go through the process. Because when people say they're going to help you, what they really mean is, I'll probably tell you a resource or two, but I'm not going to hold your hand. And especially if you're not paying me. That's what they... No one is gonna be upfront and say that, but where you can kind of feel that that's how it is, which I understand. You always have to respect other people's time and energy. But like, since I became an author, I have about 3 people in my circle that's an author. One author, I've collaborated with someone on a book already. One author started writing more books after seeing me write more books. So you'll look around and you'll see other people doing stuff because they see somebody that's doing something that they actually want to do. So they see that now it's possible for them.
So how old were you when you first started?
I can't hear you.
Right. How old were you when you first started writing?
Oh, snap. Okay, say that one more time.
How old were you when you first started writing? Okay, so she's having some issues. Okay. You there? Okay. While she's figuring that out, we're gonna see if we can get her back and we can get her on. Please just know that if nothing else, if you have a desire to want to write, let me tell you something. I just made 60 years of age this year, and I wrote my first book. Well, I have been writing, but I've finally published my first book. So if you have a desire to write, just do it, just as she said. I want to see if she has, if we're able to get her back on. And if so, just bring her in. But we're getting ready to be closed. There she goes. We're back. Yes. So the question that I had to pose was about how old were you when you actually started writing?
So I started writing in high school. So I want to say probably about 15. So it's only been I want to say 10, 11 years since I've been writing.
Okay. And as we were waiting to get you back on, I was just telling them, I was just sharing. Actually, I was 59, because I just turned 60 last month. But I've always been a writer. But in regards to my book, that was my first book that I finished and published. So whether you're young or whether you're older, if you want to write, you can do it. And as you said, all you got to do is just do it, right? And that was it. So what would be the final words? I do want to put back again for those of you guys, May 30th. We can put that back up again. So the event that she has coming up May 30th, if that's something that you're interested in, hey, go on out, be a support. And if nothing else, there are a lot of individuals who are poets that would love to be able to have that opportunity of sharing your experiences. But if nothing else, look out in regards to Faith Jackson. She's doing some great things. And I've had the opportunity of meeting her at a book club. Yeah. And when I met her at that book club, honey, that child was like, her energy was so great. We ended up buying 2 of her books. So, and they're very good. So please, and they can find your books on Amazon.
Yes,
Yes,
they are. They're all over Amazon. They should be able to type them all in, and they should come up pretty easily. Coloring Outside the Chains is newer, so they may have to play with it. But Anointed Scroll and Diadem of Glory, Blessed and Prosperous Journal, that comes up no problem.
Yes. So, what final word of encouragement would you like to leave with our audience today?
I would say be authentic in yourself. Be who you are called to be. And things are going to fall in line. And I actually have a story about that outside of me being an author. So this is some warfare that I've kind of been experiencing recently. Some of it is self-doubt, and also me sometimes pushing out stuff more instead of listening as much as I need to. So I've been kind of struggling a bit with being in alignment, because I like to kind of be everywhere and spread out everything. And so I had a series of events that I went through that I was just not aligned in. I prayed last week, and I was asking the Lord, I'm like, man, there's no Christian open mics. I don't like going to worldly stuff. After I prayed, there's a Christian open mic. It says bless something, it said bless the mic. And it was one of the people I met at a Christ-like mic before. And I had saw it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna go to that. And I went to it just this past Sunday. I mean, the energy in there was even better than some churches that I've been in, because especially some of them apostolic churches, they got all type of different demons running around. My spirit just like, I don't know what's going on, but what is happening? The place was so aligned. Everybody was so kind. I had so many meaningful conversations, and the lady said she fasted for the event. You could tell that she fasted for the event.
Oh, wow.
It was absolutely amazing.
Well, if nothing else, thank you so very much. And you all can find Faith at Faith Jackson on her Facebook page. Please go on there. We were working on getting so we could get your link up there so we can have all of your other platforms. But if you go to Facebook, you'll be able to find her, Faith Jackson. Get her books, and then let her know what you've gotten from that, to be that inspiration, because it is important and very timely to sit back and put your thoughts together and allow the Spirit to just move through you. So, Faith, thank you so very much for joining us here. Again, I am Yanaya E. This is Mercy Seat. We are out of time. And until next time, please stay blessed and have a good one. Take care.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jaref. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.